Dan, do we have an exciting show this week on Energy Diagnostics Podcast or what?
It's amazing. I don't I'm at a loss of words. It was last minute. It was fly in, we do this, and here we are. Amazing guest, lights up the room and is going to light up your immune system and how is my mental health and my gut connected? Well, we have the answer for you, my friends. Susan Enderle.
She ties it all together. She ties it all together. Gut health, why gut health matters. She really just inspires us to understand that with optimal gut health, with really good choices, which is a beautiful bridge from our work with Dr. Dan Zavadil at the beginning of the year. Of course, our wonderful Elizabeth Thayer Andes, right, from last week, who's been talking about how to get movement and micro movements into the body. We're really on a roll here on Energy D because we're bringing the experts to you on how to live your best life, as spirits in form, and take care of the form. Like she's just lighting up everything. This impacts sleep. It impacts how well our immune system is running, our mental health, of course, and ultimately our skin, the greatest organ in the body, right? How that's going to affect that. Our digestion matters. It's what releases those feel-good chemicals, right? Like serotonin, dopamine.
Yep.
Oh no, it's not here. It starts with the gut. So Susan has a couple classes coming up. She talks about her inspiration for helping people live optimal health through gut health. Stay tuned on Energy D Podcast.
Welcome to the Energy Diagnostics Podcast. Join award-winning educator and sound healer Joy Adler and musician and teacher turned energy healer Dan Zavadil as they dive deep into the world of alternative healing, music, and sound therapy. With over 30 years of holistic health expertise, Joy brings wisdom and heart to every episode. And Dan, from the classroom and healing table to playing bass on the Today Show, he bridges rhythm and restoration. Tune in for inspirational conversations with masters in the field of transformation who share tools to empower your journey of self-discovery and wellness through music for healing.
Dan, how excited are we today?
Super excited. I'm so excited the whole room turned purple.
You're showing me up. Look at this bland room
Oh,
that I have been in forever. I think I
forever.
was born here. I don't know.
Has Bill Murray showed up yet? Asking if he can play some piano?
Groundhog's Day, The Shining, it's all there. But anyway, but in the midst of this, we have the most exciting guest, okay? Susan Enderle is not only a graduate of Barbara Brennan School of Healing and our graduate program, right? She did this fascinating study using herself as the ultimate research scientist here in the lab of life, literally disciplining herself and taking out anything out of her body for about 6 months. Susan's going to share more about this to arrive at this amazing teaching, which is so front and center in our times. And we are really excited to invite and talk to, have a nice conversation with, and learn from our Susan Enderle. Dan?
Absolutely. So Susan Enderle. Susan is a research nerd. I love that. Fascinated by gut health. She's a patent holder with degrees in chemical engineering and energy healing and over 2 decades of business and personal transformation leadership. She believes in practical and fun solutions for life's challenges. Listen, the nerd self-professed and then practical and fun solutions. I'm in. I'm buying what you're selling here, Susan.
So this is perfect for Energy Diagnostics Podcast. Welcome, Susan. And you're very fun, but you have a lot of experience, a lot of years in the field. You also were with White Buffalo's program too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more about how you came to be, and we've got to really talk about what you've got upcoming too. we'll have time for it all.
Well, first of all, I am so happy to be here. This is just a happy, happy place, and what a great way to share information.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Susan.
Thank you.
You gave us such a nice reflection about that. You and Dan are absolute idiots. No, really, it's a fun show. No. It was a good reflection. We like to keep it light and bright and fun, and I just want to say, Susan, for us it's divine pleasure because we know that we are very blessed to have the very best join us on the show. So thank you, because you are one of them. And you have been in the field for decades. You're doing the good work, boots on the ground, and you've got your finger right on the pulse of what people need with gut health. And we're excited about your classes upcoming. Share with us how you got here, where you're going, anything. We've got plenty of time.
Great. First of all, the thought of light and bright and fun and gut health probably haven't ever gone together before. So this is the perfect podcast because life's meant to be enjoyed, including our gut health. And the way I originally got into thinking about gut health is whenever I'm just a research nerd. I just love, like I can follow something on the internet and it's like 2 days later, it's like,
Dan, get her out of the rabbit hole.
But I started to read about depression and gut health.
Mm.
And depression is something that I've dealt with all of my life. Now, I haven't had the really clinical depression or suicidal. It hasn't been like that. Just that depression, I don't know if you know that sometimes there's no joy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have these episodes. And then I had read about gut health and depression, and I had never heard that they were connected. So I went to really understand about gut health and have done a lot of research, have been working with my doctor and a functional doctor. I am not a medical professional, but I am a really good researcher with that. And I'd like to share the information that I've found to help understand the basics of gut health, because sometimes it can be like overwhelming. And talk about the fundamentals and then how gut health really impacts so many parts of our lives beyond just maybe, bloating or constipation or things like that we think of with the gut. And talk about the physical aspect and really talk a lot about something that's important to me, the brain gut axis, and how it so impacts depression and anxiety and trauma. And we'll talk more about that. And then came up with, well, what can we do about this? And have come up with a doable solution that's very scientifically based because I'm a science nerd. And what really makes it fun is to take a lot of the things that I learned at Barbara Brennan through Joy and about how you take a solution and you make it yours. It's not going to be some edict from on high, but how do you take this and make it yours and go at the pace that's right for you and your unique path? So I have been doing this and I feel great. And I am so thrilled to be able to share this.
And we really appreciate you putting this out there because people need help in our world, in our society. And I love how you connected the emotional body, how one's mental health with depression, with the physiological. There's such a deep connection, and that you're offering a solution for people to find their way out of this. And let's talk more. You feel like you want to go into your slides?
Sure. And the first slide is talking what is gut health. So you can be on your edge of your seat as we get this coming up.
Let me hold on. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. There we go.
Okay. So I think we all know gut health matters for your digestion. If you've got bloating or diarrhea, things like that, probably we're all pretty much aware of that. But gut health also has a lot to do with how you sleep and your mental health. And we're going to go a little bit deeper and dive on the mental health and the sleep in the next slide. But it also impacts the skin health. A lot of things like eczema is very much tied into gut health. But one of the key things that just makes me sit up and listen, and it's just like fascinating, is the impact of the gut health on our immune system. You know, our immune system's everything. Can we fight off what comes in? Can our body stay healthy? And I found that over 70% of the immune cells are in the gut.
Wow.
So whenever we think about all these colds or a lot of inflammation or a lot of things that just come up because our immune system's not fighting it out, we might want to be looking at our gut. And whenever we talk about our gut specifically, what is considered good gut health? And on the gut, the intestine that I'm showing there, I've got a magnifying glass that's looking at some little critters. And those are my depiction. Those critters are microbiomes. Real scientific word. But the microbiomes are just like these fascinating communities that we all have living within us. And there's trillions of them. I mean, trillions. And they're bacteria and viruses and fungi and all kinds of things that are meant to be living in harmony. And whenever they live in harmony, the immune system's great. Your digestion's great. You're going to sleep well. You're going to be sharp mentally. Peace reigns in the land. But whenever the microbiomes aren't happy, then that's whenever the issues start to happen. The best indication of gut health is simply, are your microbiomes, are they diverse and are they balanced? So do you have a lot of different type of microbiomes and are they balanced? And that is the best indication of gut health.
I love it. This snapshot right here in this teaching, in this slide, Susan. Wow. Now we're on to something. Look at how entwined these systems are, right? Circadian rhythms, right? Immunity, ultimately breaking down immunity if we don't have proper and healthy gut health, right? It's going to impact the largest organ of our body, the epidermis, the skin. Our levels are going to be off, and our mental health, as you so mentioned. And ultimately, our digestion is impacted in some regard. This snapshot really helps, I think, everyone to understand how important it is to have optimal health, to make those good choices. Tell us more.
Well, be glad to. We'll be talking about each one of these more in the class, but tonight I want to talk more about the mental health and the sleep, because that's something probably most of us, I wasn't aware of, and I think most of us aren't. So clearly the immune system and inflammation and digestion and skin health are really, the gut health is so important. But if we go to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about the brain-gut axis. There's a connection between the brain and the gut. It's quite simple, and it does it through the vagus nerve. And you can understand that, like sometimes whenever you get anxious, like in your brain, you're anxious, and then you start getting butterflies in your stomach. Or sometimes whenever you will start to, you have a gut feeling and, you'll be getting information on what you ought to be doing, which your gut would then be telling your brain. But that gut brain axis is a really beautiful thing when it works well. And one of the cool things that I learned about the gut and the brain is that so much of what we think of happening in the brain actually happens in the gut. For example, like those neurotransmitters that make you
Yes.
feel good
Mm-hmm.
and make you happy. Well, most of them are produced in the gut, and they're either the neurotransmitters or their precursors are produced in the gut. Like over 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Over 90%. I'll just speak about that for me. Like with all the times that I had depression, I'm trying to think happy thoughts and I'm trying to do all these things for my brain. And whenever I address the gut issues, this is the first time that I haven't experienced depression in a very, very long time. We also find that dopamine is over half of dopamine, which is that reward risk factor, a lot to do with addiction and all of that. That's also produced in the gut. And so whenever the gut brain axis isn't working and you've got something going on with your gut, you're much more likely to have depression and anxiety. They've done tests on people with depression and anxiety, and their gut microbiomes are different than those people who don't have depression and anxiety. They have less, we said we want more balance and more diversity. They have less. And so
Fascinating.
what they're experiencing, we think is in their head, they can verify in their gut.
I'll tell you what. So are you saying that the food we eat when we travel might affect our mental health when we're traveling if we're at the mercy of whatever's at the convenience store?
As a touring rock god, Dan, of course you would ask that question.
I'll tell you, that's one of the hardships of going out on the road, right? I'm like, oh, and I'll tell you, the mental health and the sleep are the first things that I notice for me when my diet's off. And not that I follow a super strict diet, but I try to eat clean food and a balance. But when I'm sort of out and it's a couple days on whatever's on the road, like the sleep immediately in the tank, immediately.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, after a couple of days I'm on vacation, I become Susie Grumpy Pants. Yeah. There's definite change.
Let's hear about the connection. I loved what you were saying with Alzheimer's and trauma.
Sure. With Alzheimer's, they're finding there's a lot of reasons for Alzheimer's and dementia. So this is not as there is depression and anxiety. This is not a single solution, but they have found that people with Alzheimer's have very different microbiome than people who don't have Alzheimer's. And it's less diverse and it's less balanced. And it's just really fascinating, but there's a very strong correlation in the gut. And then trauma, this really surprised me. And this is probably something that is not very well understood. Trauma really impacts the gut, the microbiomes. Often the good microbiomes die off and you've got a higher percentage of the bad. But you can definitely, when someone has trauma, if you would look at whenever they do work with people, for example, with PTSD, they often have very different microbiome diversity than someone who doesn't have PTSD. But what I found really fascinating is that whenever there's an impact of trauma, it sort of stays in the gut until you do something to change it. Columbia University and UCLA, two great universities, have done some incredible research. But what they're finding is that the trauma can be intergenerational. So if the mother had trauma in her childhood, it impacts her microbiomes, and then it can impact her children's microbiome. So, we talk about intergenerational healing. The microbiome is certainly carried from generation to generation. And there's also been incredible research on the effect of trauma during pregnancy. during the first 2 years of a child's life. It's very much impacts the microbiome diversity. And they're finding that particularly for young children, a lot of the mental illnesses happen because, the brain gut axis isn't, hadn't been properly functional whenever they were a child.
That's
This is
fascinating.
fantastic research. Does this mean no more Captain Crunch with crunch berries?
Joy, I love that question. This does not mean anything goes out. We're going to add some things, and that's great, but everything doesn't need to change. And so if your favorite fruit is crunch berries, well, we're going to add some things to the diet, but we're not going to say you can't have your favorite foods anymore.
Oh, no extremism. Which we know, by the way, if anyone has famine in their intergenerational trauma tree, will immediately be triggered upon the thought of taking things out of the diet that are comforts that kind of lead to the breakdown of the gut brain axis. So I like that you're softening this a little bit, because I often hear from people that are going on certain detoxes and things, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till this is over, this is not sustainable. There's a lot of depression that goes with pulling these things out of one's diet. So I like this sensibility that you're bringing in.
Thanks. And stress, it's a lot of stress to take out your favorite food. I mean, not having crunch berries can be very, very stressful. And stress is really, really tough on the microbiome. And we're all about making those microbiomes happy. So we're looking at an and solution, not an either or.
Love that. Okay, well, that certainly solves some issues. Shall we go to your next slide?
Please. Okay. And so we're going to be talking about the American Gut Project, which I think is a fabulous project, and the findings are really doable. And this is the largest microbiome project ever. It was done over 45 countries with over 10,000 participants. It was mostly in America and England, but they were able to look at participants in industrialized countries and places that were not so industrialized, and they kept records of what they ate, and they would measure their microbiomes. And what they found is that by eating 30 or more different types of plants per week is linked to a more diverse gut microbiome. And it was like, well, I never knew this. It was like I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts and things like that. But I would just tend to the broccoli's on sale. I'm going to have broccoli all week. And this is really saying what it's not like, and you see some things that will say lion mane mushroom is really great for your gut and you should have that every day. But what this is suggesting is that healthy people really eat a diversity, a wide range of plants. And they found that 30 is the sweet spot.
Interesting. Does that include like spices and herbs as well?
It does. It does. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I like you, I'm thinking like, well, broccoli or cauliflower was there, or carrots, right? But I can't imagine going and getting basically one of everything in the grocery store.
And that's a good point. And the way that we'll be doing that kind of thing, you can have fresh or frozen or canned. There's a lot of, and so there's ways to do that. And we spent a lot of time in how do you do this without having to spend your salary getting 30 different plants?
Right. Or if I can have a broccoli we'll use and then put some different spices on it, just to flavor it differently. Now I can get 2 or 3 or 4 out of it rather than just the one.
Creative kitchen solutions. I love this.
One of the things that really surprised me is that it did not matter if the participants' diet was vegan, vegetarian, or they ate meat. And this shocked me because I'd been reading all of these 30 plant books, and it's mostly vegan. And my experience with, I have a lot of friends who are vegan and they are really, really healthy. But it's not my choice. And so I thought if I wanted to follow this, I needed to be vegan or vegetarian. And that absolutely was not in the project. But there's a lot of bias out there, and people perceive that they have to be plant-based entirely. And it's not. So if you want to have your cheeseburger with a salad with 5 different types of vegetables or things like that, that's okay. That still works, but there's a big misconception about that.
When I saw this on the slide earlier, I was like, that's great, because I've had the same thoughts as well, thinking about this and eating a lot of different foods, but I need protein from carnivore, from meat. It works well for me. I've done things where I've gone more vegetarian leaning, and I don't feel the same. I don't feel as good. So it's great that you cleared that up, and it's everybody's welcome at the table. Just eat 30 different kinds of plants.
Yes. Right. And if you're having crunch berry on the side, that's okay.
Right. That's dessert. You got to have some crunch berries for dessert.
Well, Sam, we came up at a time where it's just like there weren't even actual food in these cereals. It's a whole other story. You can watch a Netflix documentary on that, but it's true. It was like plastic and something. I don't know what that was. Sugar.
Sugar. Yeah, sugar. That's what we'll do.
Let's go to the next slide.
Okay. And then what is really important with sustainable change, and why do all of this if it's not going to be something we can make change, is that it's a permanent change. Because changing, going to 30 plants it's not a magic wand that makes everything better like in a month. It's a foundation for health for the rest of your life. And to make that sustainable, it really needs to be a program that you like. It's your life, it's your rules. And it has to be about hearing your own inner voice and listening to you more than an external expert. And there's a lot of external experts right now on gut health. And the things that we're going to, we do is to let people know, like if you're going to 30 plants per week, if that feels like a reasonable goal, some people are go get them and they're going to do it all in 1 week. And other people, their comfort zone, particularly like people on the spectrum, their comfort zone for plants might be very, or different, any kind of food might be very narrow. So somebody might start at 5 and it might take them 2 months to get to 7. And, whatever, and somebody else can get to 30 in a week. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're listening to your own body and how do you want to change? What pace do you want to change? What foods of the 30 plants, which ones sound good to you and which ones don't? That you're listening to yourself and you become your own inner expert.
Kind of going with your gut there, huh, Susan?
Yes. Yes.
That's great, because you're right. People, if you're used to eating a certain way, the plants, if that's something new to you, you have to retrain your palate to not, because you might be used to really sugary processed foods, and you're like, get that broccoli out of here. But so small steps, kind of like Dr. Dan Yadigar was telling us, make one small change. And if it takes 7 months, 8 months, 10 months, you've made the change. And now that's something you can do for the rest of your life. But I think that changing the palate over to where it doesn't need to be hammered with the sugars and the chemicals and that, but we can do it with spices and fruits and vegetables and different plants. It's going to take some time to do that, and the acclimation process might take a little bit. But if you go, okay, I'm going to set myself no immediate goal, it doesn't have to be next week, and make it manageable. I think that's a wonderful approach to bring it to.
And this is ancientness right here too, right? Because you're talking about sustainable change. When I went back to school for Ayurvedic nutritional counseling training, it was well colors, spices, different plants, making it beautiful for the senses. All the colors really are the chakra system, Susan. You appreciate that, right? And how when it was that delectable, we could switch over from having, a hankering for things that we're really allergic to, right? Which
Mhm.
there's a tie-in there. And because it was so beautiful, being able to create beauty, use spices and vegetables and foods that were very delightful to the eye. And our mouth would begin to water for them, which would create sustainable change. Can only happen with that variety and something that really delights us visually. We get ready to eat that. It looks delicious. It smells delicious. So I think that goes a long way. Like you're tapping into something that is really 8,000, at least that we know of, years old knowledge here. Let's come back to the screen, and we want to show our viewers and listeners what you have upcoming. It's like, how can they learn from this master? We want to talk about that, though. Susan, we love the connections that you're making here. Really feel that you've got your finger on the pulse of what we need in the world. And you've got two different offerings coming up. And this is what we're delighted to discover. You have one class upcoming. It's on Zoom. People can join from all over the world. That's what's great about your community, right? But it's for the every person that wants to learn more about that. Dan, can we share that
Yeah.
flyer upcoming with our Susan
Let me find.
in our audience?
Is this the OMG?
Mhm.
The beige, yep, the OMG.
This one, right?
Oh, that's
go.
lovely. Now that is fantastic. Tell us about this class here, Susan.
So this class is going to be it's for an hour for 2 Mondays in a row. And it's for people who are just beginning. We will be reviewing the gut information, and in the week between, we have integration time. And so we're going to have a lot of learning and start to listen to our own voice, listen to our gut. And then the second week, we're going to come back. We're going to have some more information, but we're also going to do brainstorming. So it's just like we're going to have a time that, okay, we've thrown out this concept, and you're starting to think about how would you increase your plants. Now, what works well, and what are you having a hard time with? And let's work as a community to come up with possible solutions. Like Dan, you were talking about how many fruits and vegetables, can you get that? Can you go to the grocery store and get a bag that big enough to carry that? And that's a real valid point. And that's the kind of things that we as a community will be coming back and what works well and what doesn't work well. So this class is, as I said, over 2 weeks. So there's integration time. You can figure out what questions that you might have or whatever. And this is a great class for anyone who just wants to understand, what gut health is and how can they really improve it.
That's excellent. And by the way, folks, you see that nifty QR code. Break out your cameras on your smartphones to sign up. Zero in on that QR. Now you've got another offering, Susan. I thought this was really amazing because this is a class for those in the helping professions that's interdependent of the class, and I thought, isn't that lovely? Like supporting through education those that are on the front line of helping others. I just imagine how that'll ripple out in their communities. And I know that that's got to probably be a feel good for you, knowing that your research and your life's work here is going to touch so many by supporting educators and healers. And we've got somebody very special we hope to see one day, Lynn Gelman, who is actually from the capital region of New York. Great healer.
How about that one? There we go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so on this program, Lynn and I will be teaching this on a Saturday. It's 2 hours consecutive. And we're going to present all of the background information on gut health, what it's about. But we're going to go into a deeper dive on a lot of the issues that healers are familiar with, either for ourselves our clients. And that's particularly the mental health issues around the depression and the anxiety, and also the impact of trauma. I think a lot of us have clients and we've experienced trauma, and this is not understood very much. And I think that we can really help our clients to understand the physical ramifications of some of that trauma. The body does keep score, and a lot of that is in our gut. And we'll be doing meditations to help us go inward, but we'll really be focusing on a deeper dive on the issues that our clients often see and come to us for help.
Brilliant. And of course, when we're talking about healers, whether you're a social worker, whether you're a Reiki healer, whether you're someone who's a massage therapist, PT, OT, people that are out there supporting others, right? People that, just feel a devotion to serving humanity and have training toward that end can get additional training with you and Lynn upcoming with the Gut Health for Healers information. Let's take a nice deep breath together. Susan, how does that feel to share this time, energy, your life's path to support others to really heal themselves inside out from so many issues, and including optimizing their immune systems by having better gut health? What does that mean to you?
I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I feel like I was put on this earth to help people find their way home to themselves. And I feel that by listening to our guts, which is, not something that we're often taught to do, we really can find so much information about ourselves and live just a healthier, more vibrant life.
It sounds like knowing that you've supported others and doing that just lights you right up. Look at you have this crown of light. It's like an aura, a halo, isn't it, Dan?
It is. Perfect. Perfect.
Susan Enderle, you are an amazing person, and we appreciate all that you are, all that you do, and we feel so very blessed to have had you join us on Energy Diagnostics Podcast today. We look forward to hearing from the people that have been benefited from your workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Joy and I really appreciate it. Hey, if you're liking our content here, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe on your favorite platform to make sure you, stay up to date with all the latest and greatest we put out here at Energy Diagnostics Podcast.
That's right, Dan. And if you're liking our content, folks, please feel free to share so others may enjoy the benefit of the wisdom our guests are offering.
Thanks so much, and be kind to each other out there.